Welcome to Catholic Life, as we spotlight ordinary people with extraordinary faith. I'm Dina Dow, your host for this half hour. I'm so excited to have one of my favorite priests in the Diocese of Baton Rouge, Father Tat, comes to us as Redemptorist missionary serving here in the Diocese of Baton Rouge. And we're so grateful that you're here and you're here in our diocese and you can't go anywhere. You need to stay with us forever.
You are one of my favorite people in Baton Rouge too. I'm glad to be here and talk to you and interview by you because I don't know what the answer will be or the question will be. So thank you very much.
It's a pop quiz today, Father Tat. So yeah. So you have been serving at St. Jared for how long now? How long have you been with us?
Actually, July 1st, 2019, I arrived here in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so just a few years.
Just finished 4 years.
Let's talk a little bit before that. Let's talk about your history. Where are you from, where you grew up, and how you came to be sitting in this chair today.
Yeah, just very brief, because being a vocation director for 7 years, I made up a lot of versions of vocation stories. So let's see, I can capture in maybe
just
2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
So I was born in Vietnam during the Vietnam War, which is May 29th, 1972. We call Bloody Summer in Vietnam. My family's 5 boys and 1 girl. I'm the second oldest. So my dad, after the Vietnam War was over, he was captured by the communists and put in re-education camp, which is labor camp, for 7 years, from 75 to 81. At that time, my mom, raised 3 kids by herself with a lot of different jobs. So I was born in Saigon, and I have to say, I already started making money when I was 12 years old, maybe. Chop woods, like a big trunk of wood into a smaller pieces for the people can cook and all that. So I helped my mom in different ways to take care of the family. I knew how to cook when I was 5 years old. I have to say that we walked to kindergarten for a mile from home. So after my dad came back, there are 3 more boys, so total is 6 kids. We came here in 1993, which is 30 years ago, and we live in West Bank, Marrero area in New Orleans, in Louisiana here. So I went to Delgado Community College for my mechanic. I studied mechanic for, I got a degree in that. I worked as a mechanic for 4 years before I heard a call to become a Redemptorist. So I wanted to become a priest when I was 12, in Vietnam. I always wanted to, but because I didn't think that I could study, or I was smart enough, or handsome enough, or rich enough. You have to be a very extraordinary person to discern to become a priest in Vietnam. But my family was very poor, and so I never thought. My older brother wanted to become a priest, and he discerned for it. And so when he came here in 1993, he continued at St. Ben here in Covington. But after 1 year, he left. So 4 years later, I entered.
Oh, that's great.
So that's just and if you want me to continue.
Well, yeah, because then you discerned the Redemptorist.
I say this story all the time, but I didn't know my vocation story until I became a vocation director.
Yeah.
And so a little boy, he's 5th grade, he raised his hand and he said, "Father, why you want to become a priest?" That question kind of like, wow, that's a good question, hey? And so I remember when I was about 25 years old, while I was mechanic, I drinking a glass of water in my house, hot day, and about halfway down, I heard a voice say, "Ted, don't drink that half glass of water. Save it for me and for those who have no water to drink." So I compare myself like a half glass of water. Dirty, germ, nothing, just a cold water. But somehow God valued that half glass of water. I said, "It's dirty. Nobody wanted to. And the question came back to me and said, Ted, it doesn't matter how much you have in your class and how dirty it is. The matter is, are you willing to share? The rest, I'll take care of it. Another incident, I think, when I was a mechanic, I loved to fix car. And there was a question came to mind and said, Ted, do you believe that a car fixer fix a soul?
Wow.
Yes. And of course I said yes. And so the idea is, I want you to become not just a priest, but a confessor. As a confessor, you help people to heal their life, their soul, their spiritual journey. So I entered the seminary in 1998, and since then I recover and discover my story, my life, everything revealed. Because Redemptorist, as you know, St. Alphonsus, the founder of Redemptorist, he is a patron saint of moral theologian, patron saint of confessors. So our charism at Redemptorist is to preach the good news, to poor and the most abandoned, and to become a great confessor. And here I am.
Wow.
Wearing this Redemptorist habit. I'm very not just proud, but I feel like I think I got a right vocation and a right order.
I agree with that statement. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. When you were growing up in New Orleans, were you aware of now Blessed Selos's shrine that was Our Lady of the Assumption?
No. I didn't even know that there was another English-speaking Redemptorist, because Redemptorists in Vietnam very popular.
Yeah, okay.
I heard about Redemptorists in Vietnam, but I never came or never visited them. But Redemptorists in Vietnam very popular.
Yeah. And he was from Germany.
But this is another thing. There were two Vietnamese priests, Father Leung and Father Binh. They stationed in the Blessed Selos now.
Yeah.
Back in 1990s. And because my dad loved to cook, and so they came to my house almost like once a week.
Yeah.
And Father Leung and Father Ben saw a young man, had nothing to do, maybe no girlfriend. So they submitted my name to the vocation office.
Wow.
And Father Byron Miller, I don't remember that name.
Yeah,
he was my vocation director. He kept sending me letters from vocation office and say, this and this. But at the end of the letter, he always wrote by his own pen, Ted, just do it. And so I kept all his letter. And then after a year, I responded. By July 4th, that kind of weekend, I called him. I said, I wanted to go to the Come and See.
That's great.
In 1998.
So I was doing a little research about Redemptorist missionaries, and one of the quotes on the website is from the Constitution of the Redemptorists, and it talks about strong in faith, rejoicing in hope, burning with charity, on fire with zeal, in humility of heart, and persevering in prayer. Redemptorists, as apostolic men and genuine disciples of St. Alphonsus, follow Christ the Redeemer with hearts full of joy, denying themselves and always ready to undertake what is demanding and challenging. They share in the mystery of Christ and proclaim it in gospel simplicity of life and language, that they may bring to people plentiful redemption.
You capture
that is like your whole life.
That's Constitution 20.
Yes.
Yes. And I even composed a song out of that Constitution. I love that one.
I see that emanating too from you, just from the work that we've done together. But strong in faith, rejoicing in hope, and burning with charity.
Yes.
How do you experience that in your life? I mean, that's every day. I think that. I know there are some challenges, but how do you live that out in a way that it seems natural? It seems like it's natural.
It's a lot of time people attribute it to their own hard work. Say, how can you do that?
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't do anything.
Right.
The reason I said it because I was not that kind of guy before.
Okay.
I was almost like depression and bullying, condition. I was bullied by my history teacher when I was sixth grader.
Oh, no.
Said, yeah, you're not Ted Tang, you're not victory, you're not a winner. Go home and change your name.
Oh, no.
And I lived with that defeated loser name for 14 years. So, but anyway, I think because I joined this group, the Congregation of the Most Holy Redeemer, which is the Redemptors, I think I received the graces from that congregation, from my founder. Yes.
Yeah.
And because I'm part of that team, that mission, that congregation, I think I inherited that joy. As you know, sometimes people say, how can you preach very differently from others? I say, I don't know. I think because we are blessed with the charism of preaching. And so I think God's providence in a way. And of course, you know, I'm going through formation and I learn from my previous redemptors, you know, all the giants before me. And so I have to say I enjoy almost every day of my redemption's life from the day I started. For the community to this day. I don't know why. I just enjoy every day.
You can tell. And my favorite trait about you is your humor and your kind of nudging. I call it the holy humor, you know, nudging of there's an underlying humor, but that's tempered with joy, that charity, that love, and always a teachable moment. Everything is always a teachable moment, you know, with you. So we have about a minute left. So I'll lead us into our when we take a break. You just recently went to the Holy Land.
Yes.
And so in our next segment, I really want us to dive into and hear your experience of visiting the Holy Land and how much more deeper that you've come to know our Lord Jesus and that experience of literally walking on the dust that he walked in. So we're going to take an early break. And then when we come back, we'll spend a little bit more time on that testimony and then the invitation of mercy through the precious blood of Jesus. So
yes, thank you.
Hold that thought. Stay with us. We'll be right back in just a minute.
Hey, I'm Father Joshua Johnson. I am the Vocation Director for the Diocese of Baton Rouge. God our Father created each and every single one of us, you and I, for no other reason than because God desires for us to become saints. That is our primary vocation, to become a saint forever in the kingdom of heaven for all eternity with God. But for some of us, our path to becoming a saint is going to be through the state of life vocation of the priesthood of Jesus Christ. If you believe that God might be calling you, if you have a thought, hey, look, God might be inviting me to discern the priesthood of Jesus Christ as my path to becoming a saint, to help other people become saints in their walk toward eternity, then I want to invite you to reach out to me at our office of vocations here at the Diocese of Baton Rouge so that we can walk with each other. I can accompany you in your discernment, in your prayer, and learning more about the gift of the priesthood of Jesus Christ so that you can discern, is God inviting you to walk toward eternity as a priest of Jesus Christ?
Welcome back to Catholic Life as we spotlight ordinary people with extraordinary faith. I'm Dina Dow with Father Tat. Okay, so we're continuing our conversation about your vocation to the Redemptorist order. But I want to kind of turn a little bit to your recent experience of your pilgrimage to the Holy Land. So what prompted that pilgrimage? Did you lead it or did you go with other people? And then tell us where you went.
I always want to go to the Holy Land. Why? Because being a priest for 17 years now, preaching the gospel and talking about Jesus all the time, and I said, I never been there. It's like you're talking about Vietnam that Vietnamese hero or whatever, and then you
Yeah.
never been in Vietnam and you
Right.
never met any, never eat the food there.
Yeah.
How could you talk about that person? So I said, if you want me to choose between going to Vietnam and visit my families and relatives and go to Holy Land, I choose Holy Land. So I'm very blessed that somebody sponsored me to go there. And I didn't have to do anything. I just tag along like a personal pilgrim, with the whole group. And so Father David from Franciscan order, that's his job. He's a tour guide and also the priest. I'm the second priest in that that pilgrimage. So I had quite a few experiences there. So I celebrated as a main celebrant, 4 masses out of 8.
Wow.
And the rest I was there to celebrate, to learn from the pilgrimage, yeah.
So where did you start out at? Where did you land?
So we start from the north, which is the Galilee and Tiberias, and then we moved to Jordan, and at the River Jordan where Jesus was baptized, and we went to almost every biblical sites that you're talking about. Jesus turned water into wine, where John the Baptist born, where Mary was conceived Jesus in the womb. It's the Annunciation.
Yeah.
So, and then the second half of the pilgrimage, we went to the Jerusalem, and then we went through the false temptation of the cross, and ended up right at the Calvary, where Jesus was crucified, died, and buried. And so right there, I celebrated Mass. And I think that's the highlight of the trip. I was in red vestment, and facing that mosaic where Jesus was crucified and offered as the body and blood of Christ right at the altar there. In 25 minutes without chanting, singing, nothing, just and out. But quick, but I think it's precious. And so I didn't feel a lot emotionally or spiritually because there's a lot of walking and visiting and all that. So, but I came home. I came home a few days later on my 17th anniversary of priesthood. I received a message, and I'm very convinced that is from God, that's from Jesus. And I think I'm very thrilled and very happy with.
So before we get to the message, what were you thinking the whole time as you were literally walking in the footsteps of our Lord?
It's kind of weird because for a long time, 50-some years, you live in a foreign country, if you will, Vietnam or United States. You go to church. I've been going to church since I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, and saying Mass here and there, but very much we imagine about Jesus, in Bethlehem, Jerusalem, and Holy Land. But now walking the walks, the same space, it's the same geography, if you will. Everything is Jesus there. I don't have to imagine that Jesus is here anymore because everything is there.
Yeah.
And so one thing that I think I came up with is when I was there, I don't need anything. I just need to believe that Jesus is here.
Yeah.
And everything becomes real. Become real to the point that I don't need imagination. Even I don't need to do devotion.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't need to pray because God is there.
Yeah.
Jesus is there. Everything becomes real. Real here is not just 2,000 years ago. Now. And so I made this statement. It could be controversial for somebody. Too real to become that I don't need spiritual.
Yeah.
And I feel like spiritual act or spiritual practice for those who are not spiritual. When you have Jesus with you, when you feel that present in you, you just do it.
Yeah.
You just do what Jesus does. And I think the message from the gospel, from all the readings, that the church wants us to do. Yes, we need to pray, but we not just spend our whole life in the chapel or in the church and pray. After 30 minutes of liturgy of Eucharist, the Mass is ended, go.
Yeah, get out.
So you have 23 hours and 30 minutes to do something and then come back next day.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah, yeah.
So I think the life out there is, I don't say more important, but it's very practical for Jesus to ask us to do.
Yes.
So that's the amazing part.
Yeah.
So I feel like I go home now, I don't have enough time to do anything because everything becomes so real. When I see my people, when I do something, I do for Jesus.
Yeah.
Just like Jesus and I are one. When I walk, he walks with me. When I live, he always lives in me.
What was the message that you received when you came home?
So the message is very simple. Maybe I'll send this to you later. The image of the crucifix. Maybe I'll just share it with you here so you can imagine.
They can put it on the.
Yes. This is the image. Right? Now.
It says, I need mercy.
I need
Christ
mercy.
On the crucifix.
And this crucifix is always in the chapel where Redemptorists pray every day. And just right behind me, which is right next to me. But I didn't pay attention how beautiful it is until a seminarian who comes here to do summer work, he's a photographer, so he took picture. When he took picture, he just zoomed in. And he zoomed this picture to the point that he make it black and white, but the blood is still red.
Yeah.
And so that red, raw blood from the picture showed me that Jesus is still alive. And the voice from that crucifix, from Jesus there, he said, I need mercy, Dad. I need mercy. Tell the world that I need mercy. Preach about mercy. Do mercy. Practice mercy. Everything you do, our mercy. To the point I said the other day, I said, the language of God, of Jesus, is mercy. The currency, because I went to Holy Land, we have to change, exchange money. Lucky we have US dollars. They accept our US dollars pretty easily. But I said, the currency of Jesus that he spent and received is mercy.
Huh. That's huge. Yeah. But that also ties into your role and your witness as a Redemptorist too. Because that bearing the zeal of charity, that mission of charity. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times when we hear mercy, we'll think about divine mercy. Mm-hmm. We'll also think about a lot of what you're involved with too, or the corporal and spiritual works of mercy, which are part of the doing, but really kind of hitting more home for you now. It's not just part of the doing, it's like the intention behind the mercy.
When I came here 4 years ago, we didn't know what to do because not many people in the church, the school kind of crumbling, struggle quite a bit. People they just scatter all over. So now after 4 years, we did something. The school is still thriving and survive. We have more volunteers, staff, and all that. We have benefactors helping us financially. We have a feeding program. We feed 400 people a day, which is Tuesday and Thursday. And we're not just giving them food, also drink. We have also spiritual and social need. We have a St. Vincent de Paul there to call to their families and see if they need any help. And so we give out financial support. Now I have confession available for everybody. Before, weekday masses, which is 8:30 in the morning. Saturday, it's almost a whole year now. I dedicated for Saturday, instead of 1 hour or 45 minutes, I sit in confession for 3 hours from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. before Mass. Just be available, because I know that a lot of people go to the different churches and they have to wait for an hour to get to their
And
turn.
sometimes not get in.
Not get in, and it's too short.
Yeah.
Here I am, I have 3 hours, and sometimes I have maybe only 3 penitents come to that 3 hours, So we have a lot of hours, but I'm doing this. I think this reconciliation is another act of God through mercy. So there you go.
So come to St. Jared, Magella.
Come to St. Jared. We try
1 o'clock
to.
on Saturdays for
This
confessions.
is my intention after the Holy Land. I hope that the next 4 years, at least I'm here, will create and St. Jared become a holy land, a land of love, the land of mercy, for those who like to practice mercy, for those who like to connect with God through mercy and connect with humanity, with people in need, and hopefully connect with themselves. So that's my goal.
And you're always recruiting volunteers to come and be a part of that mission of mercy.
Yeah, I think God is so good to me, and I think people will respond. And I think this will bring in more volunteers, because I feel like this is the opportunity for us to have joy. I feel like I have more fun now than 4 years ago.
Yeah,
I was so scared when I was reappointed to live here for 4 more years. I said, boy, I live with same people. They know my homily. They know my message. How in the world can I continue for 4 more years?
Yeah.
But with this new message, I think it will be a new chapter.
I agree. And we'll pray for that too, for that new chapter, and we'll be involved. For more details, just go to the diocesan website, go under parishes, and find St. Jared Magella, and get in touch with you and all the beautiful things that you're doing and that part of our diocese. Thank you so much for your vocation and for your zeal and joy and passion. We're so grateful for you. I'm personally grateful for you, to know you and to serve with you in God's beautiful vineyard of mercy. So thank you so much.
I want to thank you, the diocese, Bishop Duca, and all the priests. The priests here are amazing. And deacons, we have a great deacon coming in, Joe Perry. It will help me. I think that's another blessing from the diocese. And then we have more priests coming in too this September to make a difference here.
That's beautiful.
In our city, Baton Rouge.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us on Catholic Life. I know we'll talk to you real soon.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us on Catholic Life today. Until next time, may God bless you and grant you his peace.